What if I told you some of the most iconic superheroes ever created still don't have a truly great Hollywood movie? We're talking about characters with massive fan bases, decades of history, and yet, every time Hollywood tries, something just doesn't click. From the sword-wielding power of He-Man to the mysterious legacy of the Phantom and to the overlooked potential of Supergirl. These are superheroes that should have been cinematic gold, but weren't. Hello and welcome. My name is Bhaskar and this channel exists to pull back the curtain on the global film industry. I examine film through three lenses: the business behind it, the content within it, and the audience behavior that drives it all. If you want to understand film at a deeper level, you're in the right place. And today we're zooming in on three superhero characters to understand a much bigger problem. Let's start with the most obvious one, He-Man. In the 1980s, He-Man wasn't just popular, he was everywhere. Toys, cartoons, catchphrases. He was basically built for blockbuster success. So when Hollywood made Masters of the Universe in 1987, it should have launched a massive franchise. Instead, it flopped very badly. The project was made with a massive $22 million budget and grossed just over $17 million. It also received very bad reviews from critics. The biggest issue? It didn't feel like He-Man. Instead of embracing the fantasy world of Eternia, the movie spent most of its time on Earth, stripping away the very thing that made the characters unique. Since then, we've seen countless reboot attempts, and none of them have made it to the finish line. He-Man isn't a failed character, he's a misunderstood one. The good news for He-Man is that he's getting a real attempt at redemption now. The upcoming Masters of the Universe, releasing in June 2026, has a genuine chance to succeed because it appears to embrace the fantasy world of Eternia and arrives at a time when audiences are more open to bold, stylized storytelling. However, its success hinges on a few critical factors. It must establish a clear tone, present He-Man as a mythic larger-than-life hero, and deliver a compelling version of Skeletor. If it avoids becoming generic fantasy and commits fully to its identity, it could launch a major franchise, but if it repeats the past mistakes, it risks fading away like previous. This movie is directed by Travis Knight, known for blending visual style with emotional storytelling, such as films like Bumblebee. The lead role of He-Man is played by Nicholas Galitzine, a rising star being positioned as a major blockbuster lead. Jared Leto plays Skeletor, and Idris Elba takes on the role of Man-at-Arms. This mix of emerging talent and established names suggests the studio is aiming to balance fresh appeal with star power, though execution will ultimately determine whether that strategy really pays off or not. Next up, we have the Phantom. This one might surprise you. The Phantom is actually one of the oldest superheroes ever created and incredibly popular globally. On paper, he has everything. A legacy hero passed down through generations, a jungle setting, a mysterious, almost mythic presence. But the 1996 film The Phantom just didn't land. It wasn't terrible, but it felt very dated, even for its time. It leaned too heavily into a light pulp adventure tone, when audiences were starting to expect something really deep. The movie was a disaster, made on a $50 million budget. It did not even recover half of that money at the box office. Hollywood never really figured out how to position the Phantom, and so he faded away. Unfortunately, there are no known attempts to bring the Phantom back anytime soon. Now let's talk about Supergirl. On paper, this should be easy. She's connected to one of the most famous superheroes of all time, Superman. She has powers, emotional depth, and a strong identity of her own. But her first major film, Supergirl, didn't do her any favors. It lacked the scale, the storytelling, and the polish audiences expected. Made with a budget of $35 million, Supergirl could only make just over $14 million. Is Supergirl a standalone hero, a legacy character, or just an extension of Superman's world? That confusion really held her back. Just like He-Man, Supergirl is also returning to screens in June 2026. The upcoming movie Supergirl represents a major reset for the character within the new DC universe, aiming to finally establish her as a standalone cinematic force rather than an extension of Superman. The film is expected to explore a more hardened and emotionally complex version of the character. This shift gives it a strong chance to succeed, especially as audiences are increasingly drawn to deeper, character-focused superhero stories. But its success will still depend on whether it can clearly define her identity, balance spectacle with emotional weight, and avoid falling back into Superman's shadow. This film is directed by Craig Gillespie, known for his stylized, character-driven films like Cruella, suggesting a distinct visual and tonal approach. Millie Alcock stars as Supergirl, bringing fresh energy after her breakout role in House of the Dragon. With the project positioned as a key pillar of DC Studios' rebooted universe, there's clear creative intent behind it, although, like all reboots, its ultimate impact will come down to execution and audience connection. So what do these three characters have in common? Why do they keep missing the mark? Number one, identity confusion. He-Man lost his fantasy world. The Phantom lost his tone. Supergirl lost her independence. Number two, poor casting. He-Man was portrayed by Dolph Lundgren, who was only starting to transition from martial arts to movies at that time. I guess by casting him, the makers were expecting the kind of success demonstrated by Arnold Schwarzenegger around the same time. The role of the Phantom went to Billy Zane, yes, the bad guy from Titanic. Well, the Phantom came out 1 year before Titanic, so Billy Zane at that time was an unknown entity. And Helen Slater made her debut as Supergirl, so once again, an actor who was unknown to audiences couldn't really make a mark. Somehow, with all these failed films, you get the feeling that the casting of the lead character could have been better. And number three, lack of creative commitment. These characters need bold, confident storytelling. Instead, they've often been handled cautiously, or rather inconsistently. And audiences can feel that. But here's the interesting part. All three of these characters still have massive potential. In the right hands, with the right vision, He-Man could be the next big fantasy epic. The Phantom could become a unique, legacy-driven superhero story. And Supergirl could finally step out of the shadow of Superman and define her own cinematic identity. So the question is, who gets it right first? If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and tell me in the comments which of these three deserves the best comeback. I will be back with another video very soon. Until then, it's bye from me.